please join me in welcoming our speakers for this session on the stage.
So the topic which we are going to discuss about, and I think it's an apt one for today's discussion, to wrap up today's discussion. In terms of two important countries, the bilateral trade between the UAE and India. And I would say it's very pertinent with respect to what even Blue Ocean's corporation strategy is in terms of looking at what has been done so far in the Middle East, not just the UAE, but in the entire Middle East. So what are some of the developments, if you want to compare between UAE and India? And has there been any real collaboration between those two countries? Yes, there are companies who have invested in both these places and continuing to invest. But do you see this more of this happening now?
Thank you, Krishnan ji. Am I audible, audience? Good evening to all. When we talk of comparison between a UAE retail market and an Indian retail market, it's like talking about two ends of a spectrum. UAE, as we all know, is a developed country. Retail there is highly organized. Largely, you have these hypermart kind of businesses, premiumization, luxury goods. It caters to that segment. While in India, it's right opposite. India is a value market, price conscious customer. So we have a retail market today of $800 billion estimated. That's our retail market in India. And I don't know how many people know it, but 2/3 of it, 70%, 67%, 70% is grocery. So that leaves a very limited space for fashion and lifestyle, for electronics, and for other furniture and other things which are coming up now. They form a minuscule percentage. So that's how we start from in India. But the other end of the comparison is where India has taken a leapfrog over UAE. So UAE till 2019, till COVID, was primarily a modern retail market. There was not much of e-commerce. Post-COVID, they realized omni-channel. They wanted to go omni-channel. They had Noon started by one of the companies there. Then Amazon came in. So from 5%, now they are at around 15% of e-commerce. In India, e-commerce, courtesy Flipkart, was started long back in 2008, and then Amazon moved in. And we have a good market for e-commerce. And then variants of e-commerce. Now we have quick commerce. So entire digital commerce, B2B, B2B2C, everything put together is now 15-20%, and it's rising. So that's where the tech that has been developed, because e-commerce, quick commerce cannot function because without a very, very, very strong tech backbone. So these are the differences largely between UAE retail market and an Indian retail market. As for collaboration, my collaboration question is being answered by what is the difference between the two. So capital, a lot of capital comes from UAE to India. Lulu Group and others have invested now. They are seeing a potential. As India's per capita income rises, and it will rise, it has been rising, it will rise in future, we will see a shift from value customer to premiumization. So a lot of hypermarts, a lot of luxury super malls will come up. Lulu has opened one. It had one in Kochi. It has now opened in Lucknow. There are others also. Landmark. We had Mr. Vikram from Landmark here. Landmark has invested here in India. There's not much of investment from India to Dubai because that's already a very saturated market. So Indian retailers don't see, as of now, much sense in going to UAE. They want to first crack the Indian market fully. But so that's why we see a lot of capital will be coming in from UAE to India. On the other hand, people skills and tech skills will be going from India to UAE. So that's the kind of bi-directional collaboration that we'll see. Skills, tech skills, product skills, tech backbone. So how do you effectively deliver in 10 minutes? You have companies which are stocking 3,000, 3,500 SKUs in a dark store, picking in 2.5 minutes and delivering in 10 minutes. So you need a tech backbone, you need strong processes to do that, which is now being done in India with all its infrastructural gaps. So that's how the collaboration between the two countries will happen in retail in future.
How do you think that the CEPA agreement, which was done between UAE and India, how is trade impacted? It's already, I think, about 2 years, more than 2 years since it was done. How has it impacted the trade between UAE and India?
Thanks, Krishnan for that question, and good evening, everyone. So before going and touching base the energy demand and how the SEPA is addressing, let us understand what is SEPA. SEPA is nothing but comprehensive economic partnership agreement, and how it is different from the free trade agreement. So the SEPA concentrates more on the free flow of goods. In addition to that, it investment and also the services related aspect also. Now coming to FTA, it only talks about the goods. Now the SEPA went live or signed, the agreement went live on 1st May 2022, and today happens to be the second anniversary of that particular SEPA. And we have heard today morning from our guest, Mr. Mohammed, about the aspiration from India UAE SEPA is to reach the trade up to $100 billion. That is, I'm talking about the bilateral trade. Now, after signing the SEPA about 2 years ago, we have a trade almost year-on-year trade increase of 16%. So in 2022, we had almost 56%, and now 72%, $72 billion is what the trade we have had in past 2 years. So in addition to that, the SEPA, when it entered into force 2 years before, it immediately gave a 0% duty for 99% products value that we export from India to UAE, and that covers 97% of tariff lines. Further, the UAE agreement, the SEPA agreement talks about over a period of 5 to 10 years, there are many products which will go to 0% from 5% today. So what does this mean is there is a scope for the India 45% of SME that we heard today morning, for increasing the trade, and there is a scope of having the more trade of oil and petroleum products from UAE into India to meet the demand of the energy. Plus, it will also help to make in India impetus for reaching the 5 trillion economy, which the India aspires. Now, the second part of the SEPA is talks about the investment. So up till now, based on the data what I've gone through is the India investment into the UAE is more than $50 billion. And from the UAE investment to India is close to $35 billion US dollar. So there is a constant increase in terms of trade, both the goods and also investment, and we are likely to reach the whatever the aspiration is another 5 years.
Now here we are talking about, yes, there's a level of maturity which you have been able to bring into the market there, and looking to replicate and enhance that in this market. How do you think that the next steps would be, and what is the kind of industry support which we are looking at so that there's a win-win for everybody? It's not just about giving a service, it's about a win-win situation for everybody. So I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
Majority of the people in supply chain are in supply chain industry by chance, not by choice. So you don't get any other job, so you get into procurement, or you are not good in sales, you get transferred to stores, and they learn on the job, and they become possibly senior managers, general managers of companies with absolutely no qualification in the particular domain. So it's like, you have studied BCom and you are becoming a CFO of an organization. Possibly you might be knowing accounting. You know what is debit, credit, you might be able to do balance sheets, P&L, but you are not qualified chartered accountant to run an organization's finance department. Now, that realization has to come in the industry, that you need qualified people in that particular domain to run the operations. Because ultimately, it's all contributing to the cash, to the expense of the organization. See, somewhere I heard a quote, very nice quote. Top line is vanity, bottom line is sanity, cash in bank is the reality. So you can have good top lines and bottom lines are very good, but ultimately the reality is the money what you have. So supply chain can directly contribute to the savings of the organization, and whatever savings happens, it is directly goes into the profit. So any small percentage change in your cost can make a big impact in your bottom line and your cash reserves in the organization. So the companies have to realize that you need qualified people to run the organizations. Yeah, whether it's in whatever domain you are in procurement, logistics, supply chain, because it is going to be the backbone of every industry. If India has to make in India successful, supply chain is going to be the key component, because we are going to compete with China. If you see the infrastructure in China, if you see even the supply chain, the logistics operations, the systems, what they use are amazing. We can definitely reach there, but we need to put emphasis on the right knowledge. So Blue Ocean, we are trying to bring in, bridge the gap between the knowledge and the infrastructure. We build infrastructures, but we need to have the knowledge, the right knowledge to run the infrastructure. So all our programs are catered to that. So today, possibly, I don't know how many of you know, we are bigger than the biggest university in the world, or majority of the universities. You know the kind of enrollments we do every year. We enroll 20,000 students every year. Possibly a normal university, will intake 12,000 or 15,000. That is supposed to be a huge university. We do 20,000 students every year. Only last 1 year, we have people from 75 countries attending our programs. So we have people from Iceland, Norway, even we have people from US, Canada, Australia, everywhere attending our programs. So we have created that foundation. So we hope whatever we have learned in the West, whatever we have learned in Middle East, we will bring it to India, which will help the Indian market, the professionals in India, and ultimately being an Indian, we want to be here and we want to, help. The theme is like that, economic supremacy through supply chain transformation. So we want to help transform the supply chain here. Thank you.
Specifically talking about the Make in India initiative, and how do you think that your experience, you can give some guidance on in terms of skills development and progress here? Thank you.
Yeah, and I think this is actually one of the key pillars of ensuring that India achieves the economic supremacy that we've all been talking about here today. So supply chain for me is really the backbone of any economy. And this is why you see the success in the Middle East and in other countries, because they've developed that supply chain to a point that they can make things efficient, they can make things easy, and they encourage the organizations in the countries to actually just focus on their operations and knowing that these things will be an easy next step. But the other component of that is the skill of the people and the ability of people to really improve their supply chains, look at ways to benefit from best practice and things like that. And we have a concept, I'm sure you've heard this term before, but you get I-shaped people and you get T-shaped people. The I-shaped people are very strong at a specific area, like I'm good at procurement, and that's what I know. Or I'm good at, let's say, another supply chain component like manufacturing, and that's what I know. Or delivery or transportation, and that's what I know. But when you start to create the T-shaped people, you get more skills across these different areas and help them to understand the interdependencies and connections between these different areas. So as we look at upskilling and co-skilling people into the future, it's about helping them to become little mini supply chain consultants, right? Identify gaps in their processes, identify ways to improve things. And I try and think of the example of a demand planner because that's what I was for many years. But my job as a demand planner is not just to put this number into the system once a month and press submit. My job is to improve forecast accuracy. And that gives you a different way of thinking about the process. So I'll just leave it at that, and thank you so much.